I'm here with my colleague, Mr. Mark Onchi, and today we are here to interview the General Manager of Lagos Waterways Authority, LASWA, Mr. Oluwadamilola. Yeah, I want to hear his own view about the maritime space, not just Nigeria, but the world. Please don't go away, stay tuned. Please can you tell us about LASWA?
Okay, LASWA is a state regulator for water transportation in Lagos State. We're in charge of currently maintaining everything that relates to mobility from point A to point B on the entire divide of the Lagos inland waterways. And of course, we're also responsible for attracting investments towards the development of water transportation in Lagos State.
Okay, so what are the challenges confronting water transportation in Lagos State, and what are the measures being put in place to surmount them?
Well, I guess I've always viewed challenges as opportunities, opportunities for us to be able to do, to effect changes. So I see that with every challenge, there's always a reason why, it's there. So some of these challenges have to do with the fact that there's water phobia amongst Lagosians. Much as we're surrounded by water, a lot of people are just afraid of water. And what we've been doing to combat that is advocacy on the safety of water transportation. And that safety is centered around the use of the life jacket. We do a lot of advocacy on the use of the life jacket. We purchase life jackets. We carry out enforcement on the use of life jacket from operators as well. So these three key components have also helped us be able to push a lot more for those who are currently using it. Of course, they are the greatest ambassadors. We want to tell others who are not using that, look, this is what's currently ongoing. Another challenge is always funding. As you know, every state government has different projects to always embark on in the year. There can never be adequate funding. So we can't just rely on internal funding. We have to also think of external funding, which in the common form of loans and grants, both from within Nigeria and outside Nigeria as well. Another challenge is, of course, cross-cutting functions. There's always been an issue with the federal government, but of course, I'll dare say that we've been having a decent relationship in the last few years, because at the end of the day, we're all about development of the waterways. We're all about easing, the pain of Lagosians or spending hours in traffic. So because we both have that united front on what we want to do, it's made it easier for us to collaborate instead of confront each other at every point in time. And I think, the other possible challenge might probably be trained manpower or trained personnel. And with this, we've been working with agencies such as NIMASA to see how they can train the relevant personnel, and of course other bodies who are in charge of training, to ensure that we have, professionalism within the inland water transportation sector in Lagos State.
Interesting. You've been around since 2017.
2015 actually.
Okay.
2015, yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's about
10 years, yes. 10 years, yes.
And that's really interesting.
Yes.
So we'd like you to walk us through the journey, the evolution. We're talking of LASWA.
Yes.
You've been on the saddle, like the record said, since 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So just give us an insight to the journey so far.
Well, it's been a long journey, but yeah, you're right. So let's chronicle the journey. So I started out as secretary of this organization, and then I was in charge of the operations of the organization. I think it opened me up to really what LASWA was really all about. And I saw a few challenges, but of course, not being the head, I couldn't effect as much change as I want, but I suggested the ideas, but it wasn't really. When I became the head in 2017, I was able to set the focus around, okay, we need a proper strategy. We need a strategy document to work with. We need a plan. Like they always say, if you fail to plan, then you're planning to fail. So I remember back then, we had even PwC work with us, and you sort of set us pillars where we should go and what we should do. And I think that's part of the thing that has really, really helped us today. And we're very, very focused on the fact that we need to build the safety culture. People didn't feel water transportation was safe, so we went head on to confront the issue around safety and build a safe environment. And today, Lagos is number one in terms of safety of water transportation in the whole of Nigeria. And I dare say that because every time there are accidents in other states, they're coming to Lagos to say, what are we doing and how are we doing? Doesn't mean, can we improve? Obviously, we can improve, because over the years as well, the accident rate has dropped significantly. In a year, minimum, you would have 10, 11, 12 accidents. In the last 3 years, and going down, you've only seen about 2 incidents in the whole entire year. Not because we prayed. Yes, we prayed. It's always important to pray, but you must also put necessary things in place. So we increased the workforce of those who monitor the waterways from 48 to 108. So we added 60 more, and they were able to cover as well locations. We introduced biannual inspection of the existing boats which we have. We also set up the first of its kind in sub-Saharan Africa, a waterways monitoring and data management center, which is like a control room for inland waterways. It enables us to be able to real-time check what's going on the waterways, get data from our relevant locations, and several other initiatives as well, which we were able to chip in. And then it gradually helped us to be able to build safety. But then beyond that as well, we needed to expand and improve the current fleet of boats. As you know, we've had our own downfalls on the waterways, which they call banana boats. But we needed to bring in, more standard boats like they've done on the road. The road moved from Moluwe to downfalls, and now there's BRT. And people are enjoying BRT today. So we as well wanted to see that transition happen on the waterways, where we move from where they used to be the really big, large ones, and now there's a lot of the banana boats, and then we gradually transition. So last year, the governor commissioned the first of its kind, conceptualized in Lagos, built in Lagos, and to be operated in Lagos, called the Omnibus. And those have been given to operators as we speak today, and operators have started running them. There have been a few challenges here and there, but at least the fact that they have those boats is testament to the fact that we've been developing the sector. And we're also on the verge of bringing in sustainable investments towards the transition for the first time, where we'll see a large amount of investment come towards the full development of water transportation in Lagos State. And of course, this as well has seen staff strength increase. I think one of the stories I was mentioning earlier was the issue of even female and gender balance within the authority. Today we're almost at the 60-40. When I took over last year, I was almost at 90-10 for men being 90, women to 10. But today we're almost, dare say, even 55-45, as opposed to 60-40. So, and I know how significant that has been for us as an organization. Helped us grow, helped us expand, helped women think very differently from men. So I think they've brought that balance to how we're able to, gradually continue to develop the sector. And truly, is to keep on building, even the next generation within the sector. Because, no seat is forever, no seat is permanent. You must think about how does succession happen, and how do things continue to grow. So yeah, it's been a very interesting journey. We've collaborated, we faced some hardships sometimes, but those hardships only prepared us for where we are today. Thank you.
Well, quick, so can you just tell us the relationship between that last one, Niwa, Lagferi?
Okay, so really, LASWA and NIWA are both regulators. I'm a state regulator. NIWA is a federal regulator. Like you have LIRS and FIRS. That's just the relationship. Lagferi is an operator. So I, as a regulator, I regulate Lagferi. So does NIWA. NIWA regulates Lagferi. So Lagferi, an operator. Lagferi is one who has the passenger boats to move from point A to point B. I'm the one who regulates, gives licenses, gives permits for them to be able to move from here to there, and give guidelines on how they ought to operate. That's just a simple explanation.
Then we'd like you to give us further insight on projects. The project is it
Omieko. That's the one we're on. That's the one we're attracting investment for at the moment.
So just let us in some of the projects.
Okay, so prior to now, we've had what we call the Water Savvy Kids program. This is a program that promotes the swimming culture among kids, because we realize that a large problem with Lagos is that except for those who live around the riverine areas, not a lot of people know how to swim. So we started to promote the swimming culture, but we have to start with the kids. You don't start with adults. Adults don't really want to. A lot of them are like, look, I'm an adult, I don't think I'm ready to swim. So we started with the kids. So we've taken to different schools. We've trained roughly about 50. We've trained about 300 kids to date how to swim. Giving them that water confidence, teaching them about the cleanliness of water as well, keeping the waterways clean. Because waterways has no dirt of its own. All the dirt is coming from land. So we also teach them that during the period in which we train them. Beyond that as well, we also have a life jacket campaign which we are very active on and drawn. get involved in. And then we have this Omieko project. And what's the Omieko project? The Omieko project is a French-funded project which seeks to support Lagos State in terms of a loan and a grant. The total sum is 410 million euros, which is going to see the influx of electric ferries coming to the waterways, the upgrade of jetties and terminals, the dredging of the waterways, 140 kilometer, and capacity building for Lagos State Waterways Authority as well as an authority, and also an intervention fund for the existing boat operators, because at the end of the day, when you're bringing any new thing to the system, you have to think of those who are currently there and how this affects them as well. Yeah, and we're already doing that, but I think that beyond what we're doing, the fact that 28 out of 36 states in this country have inland waterways, I think there's a lot more that can be done with the inland water transportation system in terms of movement of passengers and movement of cargo. So the movement of passengers and movement of cargo will significantly contribute to the economy of the blue economy. As you know, the blue economy is not existing on its own. There's fishing, there's aquaculture, there's many things around it as well. So inland water transportation is just one of the components. And as it fully develops, not just in one state but in other states, then we also see how it affects the entire value chain of the blue economy as a whole.
All right, so what do you think should be done to further encourage private participation in water transportation?
Well, the government creates an enabling environment. If government doesn't create an enabling environment, there's nowhere they're coming into. And the only way we can create an enabling environment is ensuring that there's a level playing field for operators who are interested in coming. But it's I must say, it's capital intensive. Generally, transportation, as you know, anywhere in the world is subsidized by government. We can't keep, but we know where we are in Nigeria now, we can't keep thinking of subsidy. So when people talk about foreign sector players, I understand the need for them to be there, but there also has to be a balance with how government also plays in this role as well. So yes, it's to create an enabling environment for them to be able to come in, and of course, not exposing them to as much risk of loss of their investment as possible.
So what can you say about the maritime space in Nigeria generally? Now compared to other countries?
Well, there's a lot. Well, I think we've done our best, but your best. You say the reward for hard work is more work. So I think there's a lot more work to be done in the maritime sector. We have to ensure that we are fully utilizing all of our resources. I know that it's a sector that is still yet to be fully tapped. There's still a lot more that can be tapped, but I think that we're on the verge by the creation of the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy by His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I think it was a great idea, and I know that the current minister as well has drawn the blueprint for the ministry, which would then be the implementing platform for the years to come.
So in the last 5 years, what are the improvements you say you've seen in the Nigerian maritime space? Well,
I think it's a lot more around how do we block revenue leakages, because there's so much revenue leakages within the sector. And I've seen a lot of the current agencies, whether federal, states, looking for how to block all those loopholes in terms of how can they ensure that they're bringing the adequate revenue, because it's the revenue that will drive the sector, right? And of course, also I've seen a lot more in terms of professionalism, trying to get round pegs and round holes, square pegs and square holes. People that can actually get the job done, and ensuring that they allow them. Of course, the right policies. Seen a lot more right policies being framed, even right laws being passed, right bills being passed into laws that will help further even strengthen the maritime sector.
So 5 years from now, what advancements would you like to see in maritime space?
Technology, the use of technology. Yeah, it has to be. We have to employ the use of technology a lot more, because technology not only maximizes resources, it also reduces wastages, and it's an enabler. Technology is an enabler. Where we are right now, there's AI. What's the implication of AI for the maritime space? We have to think about that as well. So I would say in 5 years' time, I want to see a lot more of the use of technology to help improve services and procedures in the maritime sector.
Oh, that's really heartwarming. So what are you doing to attract investment within the ecosystem? Because it's very important.
No, I mean, investment would only come into a place that there can be returns, there can be yields from what is put in. So we've been doing our best to implement the adequate frameworks that enables any possible investor be willing to invest in the sector, making sure that we're improving our processes, all the necessary certifications are required, such as ISO, in terms of quality management system, putting that in place, appropriate structure in terms of staffing, and of course, removing the bottlenecks that usually would block any investor from coming in to invest in the sector as well. Those are some of the things we at least as a state agency have been able to do under the leadership of the current governor, and of course, previous governors who had laid the foundation as well in Lagos State for last one.
Great. So let's talk about environmental sustainability and water pollution.
Well, that's an ongoing issue, and I think it's something that every time I get the opportunity to speak is water transportation has no waste of its own. The only waste we see is the waste from the land. So people are dumping it, or it's fine. But when you dump it on the road, you forget that when water comes washing to the drainages, and the drainages are leading into the river. So it's to really, advocate that people should stop littering our environment. If we stop littering our environment, the waterways will be much cleaner. Yeah, Ministry of Environment is in charge of that. They work with, and they have a task force as well, who ensure that people are not dumping it. But you can't be everywhere at every point in time. So when you hear that information, people are dumping this, then you can swing really quickly to action.
Okay, so finally, sir, what do you think the government should do to integrate the water transportation into other modes to affect the efficiency of intermodal transportation?
Well, Lagos State Ministry of Transportation now, in its policy drive, looks to develop modes as an integrated transportation system, not in isolation. So if I'm building a jetty now, the first question is, what road links to that jetty? How do people leave that jetty? So it's very, very important how we're building now. If we're building any bus stops, what other modes are close to that bus stop? So we're all thinking connectively. So the good thing about it is that the state government has a policy of planning now integrated transportation system where even if you don't have three modes talking, because really in Lagos, Mile 2 and Marina that have been built for the interchange of three of them, but the bus must speak to the water. But that means bus must work with water, road must work with water transportation. So everywhere where you find a jetty now, even the state government has taken upon itself that all the roads are motorable to those jetties. And of course, either you have private or you have commercial vehicles are able to access that place as well as if you have park and ride. You park your car and get on the ferry, and when you come back, move your car again and move out of there. So that's how the state government has been quite intentional about this in recent times.
So let me just ask one more question. Now, we noticed that boat mishap hardly happen in Lagos, but it happens often in other states. And when it happens and the news goes out, people in other countries will be like, oh, Nigeria. Nobody will say Lagos State is excluded. So what do you think should be done so that to generalize the safety all over Nigeria, just like we have, at least we feel safe using Lagos State waterways, right? So it should be like, what do you think should be done for it to be like that all over Nigeria?
Well, I think the necessary investment is needed. Other states have to have a clear strategic plan of how to implement